had a plan for me before I was born. God told the prophet Jeremiah, when you were in your mother's womb, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. And it doesn't say, I knew of you. It says, I knew you. And it said, I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. And it's just amazing that God has a plan for every single one of our lives, even when we step outside of His will, even when we try to do things on our own. God is so faithful, and when He calls us, He sees it to completion. And so I really believe that God has marked me before I was even born. But it took a lot of struggle, it took a lot of figuring out, it took a lot of heartache for me to discover really the purposes that God had for my life. I was faced with a situation where, as a 15-year-old at prep school, I had my buddies handing me drugs, alcohol, tobacco, like it's a normal thing. And as a 15-year-old trying to fit in, trying to find yourself, find your purpose, trying to make it to the highest levels in sports, you feel like you have to do things that maybe compromise who you are to try to achieve what you want to achieve, and to be the person that you want to be, and to be the person that you think everybody wants you to be. And so, I remember as a 15-year-old at prep school, just after a couple weeks of, wrestling internally, just saying yes and opening some doors that led me down a really destructive path. I went to prep school for 2 years. Then I played junior A hockey in Canada, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, St. Louis, Missouri, Marquette, Michigan, all the while trying to get recruited with a Division I scholarship. And over the course of that time, I became severely addicted to drugs and alcohol, to the point where I was either drunk or high almost every day, and to the point where in college I was drunk or high every single day. And on the outside, everything looked good. I had good grades. I was being recruited by some of the best schools in the country. I was playing in tournaments, making all-star teams, excelling in juniors, and I accepted a scholarship or a nomination to West Point as a 19-year-old playing junior hockey in St. Louis, Missouri. I thought, hey, this is what I've been working hard for my whole life. I finally got the Division I offer. They flew me up there, invested a lot of money in me, gave me the grand tour, put me up in a hotel, and offered me, a spot on their roster and a nomination to the United States Military Academy. And I thought, this is it. This is finally, this is what I've been waiting for. I can get my life together. I know I've been messing up and making compromises, but now that I've got this Division I scholarship, everyone will finally accept me. And it was years of covering up insecurities about who I was and not knowing who I was, and thinking that if I could just find a way to fit into the system of the world, the pattern of the world, the pattern of this sports culture, that suddenly I'd be able to walk out of my house every day and feel okay about myself. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Nothing changed in my life. I went to West Point. Almost got kicked out of the academy for breaking rules, being intoxicated, and ended up spending 8 months there, and again excelling in the classroom and on the ice. But unfortunately, my inner self was deteriorating, and just realized that wasn't the place for me. I transferred and played 2 years of hockey at Amherst College, which is one of the best academic institutions in the country. And I was exposed to a completely new culture there. All my friends graduated from college and started working for Morgan Stanley, or started up their own companies. And I thought, okay, this is great. I've achieved success in sports, but now I'm just gonna sign the paper, and I'll just be making a lot of money, and that'll be it, and everything will be good from there. And I was on that path. And unfortunately, I embraced that path so hard and went so hard into it that I completely lost myself, to the point where in college I was abusing drugs and alcohol so bad that I would stay up for 3 or 4 days in a row and be hallucinating, and had to see a psychologist and a therapist, one of the best ones in Massachusetts, because everyone at the school and everyone that I was involved with was so concerned about me. And I had just completely lost bearings on who I was and who God had made me to be when I was before I was even born. It got so bad to the point where I was actually blackout drunk in college and saying that I wanted to kill myself, and unfortunately I had to take a semester off from school. I knew that I was in a really bad place. I started seeking something else. I began actually reading my Bible a little bit as a junior in college, and I would read like one verse a night. And this person that I was in a relationship with started just walking away from me, like just giving up on me. And it was crazy that as soon as I brought in the light of God, things started rapidly changing in my life. All my friends who I would drink with 5-6 nights a week, there was just this distance that was now created because I wasn't participating in the activities. I actually quit drinking and told the team that I wouldn't be doing that anymore. It just seemed like everything in my life that I had built up, this fake identity, this fame, this success, this mantra, this image that I had, that I was this sweet hockey player, with swagger, and I kind of ran the show and I ran the world. It just all crumbled. And the Lord just pulled the carpet from right underneath me, and He was like, you can't do this on your own. You have nothing without me. And I had already ruined most of my relationships at home and around Buffalo because of the destructive behavior that I had, and then all of a sudden my world was crumbling around me at school, and I didn't know where to turn, and I came to Buffalo, and I called a pastor friend of mine named John Hasselbeck, and he shared the gospel with me at Panera one day, and he said, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And that verse is really about, it's our own efforts, it's our own striving. I had always thought, even though I grew up in a Christian home and had gone to church, I never understood the gospel fully, that God wasn't asking us to achieve something externally or to have it all together or to be what the world wants us to be. God was simply just asking us to come to Him and to make Him our Savior, and to put our hope in Him and our trust in Him, and to rest in Him. I love FCA because I believe the next Jake Hannon could be saved in FCA. Like I said, I didn't have, as a 15-year-old leaving home, being handed all the pressure of the world on my shoulders with no infrastructure in my own soul to be able to support it. I didn't have a mentor or a coach that was there to help me out through that. And, that's what we do with FCA. We minister to and through coaches. Billy Graham said a coach can impact more people in 1 year than many people can impact in their entire life. And so that's why we have intentionally, as a ministry, FCA, set a strategy of ministering to and through the coach. We believe that if we can saturate Buffalo and Western New York with FCA staff members who disciple coaches and help those coaches reach their athletes, we'll have a healthy discipleship pipeline that could change the face of sports culture in Western New York, and we're super excited about what that looks like. My mission as the director of FCA in Buffalo is to recruit, hire, and train sports missionaries to work in the unique and diverse areas of Buffalo. Our dream and our vision is to see staff members rise up that are already respected in their local communities to take on the challenge and the mission of executing FCA in their local area and in their local context. We're so excited. We have a vision-based staffing plan of hiring over 30 staff members and saturating this city with sports missionaries. We're so excited to see what that looks like. We've seen a banner year of growth for FCA this year with hiring new staff, our camps coming together so beautifully, leveraging Division I coaches, WNBA players. Our UB FCA huddle exploded this year with the captains of the men's and women's basketball teams and 20 athletes attending. We've seen God's favor just growing this ministry, and we're so excited about what 2020 will look like. We just invite you to be a part of FCA, however the Lord leads you, whether it's through your financial support, prayer support, volunteering, coaching, helping serve at a camp. Maybe even the Lord is calling you to be a part of our mission as a staff member. We want you to be involved. We're excited and we're thrilled about the potential, but more so we're excited and thrilled about the energy and momentum that we have right now going into 2020, and we'd love to have you be a part of it.